Good. Hey, welcome to Chill Under Pressure. I'm Les.
I'm Rodney.
And I'm Adam.
And today we have a great special guest with us, Jennifer.
Hey guys.
Manzo. Hey, how you doing?
Good. Glad to be
Good.
here.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Where are you broadcasting from?
Maine. Sunny Maine today.
Sunny Maine.
For once.
Yeah, there you go. Real quick, I want to diverge into you posted about your service truck, the red truck, right?
Yes, I did.
Tell us about the truck.
So I have always been a van girl. I've always driven a van and decided I absolutely hated that. So I was looking for a service truck and instead found a completely LS swapped 6.0 cammed, tuned monster of a little GMC Sierra. And I was like, man, I really want that truck. And my husband's like, you're looking for a service truck. Don't be ridiculous. And I was like, but am I? So I ended up buying it. So I wrapped it with my company logos and it's my service truck. Every time I pull up to a customer's house, the kids all run out and they're like, burn the tires.
That's awesome.
Nitrous or no nitrous?
No nitrous. She's straight fuel.
That's where you're not being serious anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That
naturally aspirated.
Very good. Well, I met you for the first time at the HVAC Excellence Education Conference where you went there to do a class, and I think I remember you telling me you're like going, I wonder how many people are going to show up for my class, and then it was like packed out.
Yeah. So that was my first year. This was my first year teaching at HVAC Excellence, and I teach technicians for the most part. That's my bread and butter. But ESCO had reached out and asked me to teach instructors, and I thought it was a really good opportunity. I tend to be the progressive one in the industry, and not everybody loves that. So I was really like, oh, they're not coming to my class, Sure enough, there was standing room only. It was packed, and it was a great class. It was all about this time I taught about how to teach multiple skill levels in one classroom. So in HVAC, we tend to have apprentices and advanced techs and all these people because we don't have a lot of time. So we have to squeeze everything into an hour or 2 hours. So I taught a lot about learning styles and how to kind of bring those learning styles together, even though they're very different, whether it be auditory or visual or hands-on, and how to teach adults the same way we teach kids, basically, because it's something that we tend to really forget that those are the same people as they grow up. So
yeah,
it was a great conference. I was in love with it.
So Jennifer, I mean, like you're doing this and you're teaching all these people, and now you're teaching the teachers, which is really cool. So that's a cool deal. You've obviously been doing this your entire life. This is your whole soul goal. You were a little girl and said, "I want to be an HVAC teacher." Like, how did you get your start, and how did you end up where you are?
That's a great story. So, I did grow up wanting to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. I knew I was going to be a teacher no matter what. And in high school, I ended up getting my degree for early childhood education. So that was where I got my start in teaching. I owned a daycare and a preschool for 11 years. And the whole time simultaneously, my husband was doing HVAC. He was a technician for a big industrial company. And so kind of as I got older and I pulled all of my kids to homeschool during COVID, and just before COVID, I was looking at vocational classes online. I was like, how do you homeschool vocational classes? This is crazy. Mm. So I figured it out. I found SkillCat, and SkillCat is an awesome app that I use every day, obviously in my life, but most technicians do. And it is an online trade school. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go through this before I hook my kids up with it, because it was brand new. It was a startup, and it was free. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, we can't trust this with everything we got right out the gate. So I went through it and I ended up with my EPA license in a month. And I'm That's like, cool. Oh man, this is crazy. Well, the owner reached out to me and the CEO and said, we need you to stay with us. Like, we can't lose you now that you're not a student anymore. And so I agreed to stay on influencing. And in influencing, I had very quickly decided I was actually going to go into HVAC, because that wasn't even my design at the time. I was just like, I guess we're doing this. And so my husband and I went to a company together. He got to train me, which was really cool. And he's the best technician that I know. So I could not have got a better training in the field, you know? And then after that, we were like, why are we here? Why don't we just start our own company? So we did. And in starting our own company, I realized gaps, lots and lots and lots of gaps in this industry. The main one was, okay, so I'm a girl, right? In case y'all didn't know. So
Noted.
I had to work really hard compared to male apprentices. It was, I mean, just constant bullying, which I appreciated because I am who I am, but not everybody does. And then on top of that, there wasn't a whole lot of learning going on. You know, even though it was my husband and he knew the importance, he grew up in this trade the same way everyone else did. So, I mean, he didn't know he should be doing any different. And so when I got in, I was kind of like, there's no women, there's no training, and these companies aren't being held accountable for the lack of training. So what can I do? How can I bridge the gap? And so that's when I started HVA Chicks Coalition and started teaching HVAC while I was learning HVAC. So I would learn a concept and I would teach it to everybody I knew. And it has worked. I still do that to this day.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Very cool.
that is a great story.
That's a great way to learn too.
I've been hearing from other technicians, like that's kind of standard, is to just be given a hard time as you're learning and stuff. Do you hear that a lot from the newer technicians?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of it.
Like a way to weed people out almost, or
It is. It's seen as a rite of passage, right? Not so much to weed people out because we know we can't do that anymore. We know we have a massive technician shortage, and it's probably because, like, we were telling guys to catch the grinder, you know, embers because we recycle them and things like that. So that was my favorite one when I was an apprentice. I'm standing there with a bag, like, why am I catching these sparks? This is crazy. Sure enough, it was crazy. Everybody had a really good laugh, especially the roofers. They loved that one. But yeah, so it's a rite of passage, but it's also, I mean, we're construction workers and you can take a lot of things and you can change them. That's not one of them. When you have a lot of men in one place, it's going to be silly and it gets really silly sometimes, but sometimes it goes past that and it goes to a point where older technicians do not want the younger technicians to learn, and I have found recently in the last couple of years, so everybody says they just are gatekeeping. They don't want to teach. They don't want anybody to take their job, right? That's not the case most of the time. And that's what I'm finding now. Now I'm finding that they don't know how to teach correctly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the information themselves. And if they just dog this guy until he leaves, well, then nobody's going to expect him to have taught him anything. And especially, it usually goes really, really well for the first couple of weeks. And then we see this pattern of panic. And it's the lead technician not knowing how to further the education of their apprentice. So that is kind of my main focus now is how do we get advanced technicians trained? Anybody can train an apprentice. It's very, very large amount of curriculum out there that is free. I make it myself, so I don't need somebody to give me curriculum. Like I can train an apprentice with my eyes closed, but we have a real struggle of where do we send them after that? After I train them to know the refrigerant cycle and to know what they're supposed to do per the EPA and to give them some, you know, on-site technical information, where do they go? They go to a guy who never had that himself. So when I'm sending an apprentice to a job site with a 40-year tech as his lead, that 40-year tech has less of an education than my apprentice I just sent him. And so when my apprentice says things like, wait, what are you doing? We need to test the airflow first. The lead goes, airflow, schmearflow, beer can cold. What are you talking about? We got 55-degree supply air, move on. So, I mean, there's a point where it's fun and it's great and it's awesome. There's another point where it's just not that at all. It never started as that. It started out of panic. Yeah. And when that happens, it becomes cruel and it becomes mean and it becomes a hostile work environment. And I'm not even coining that HR term. I mean it. It's really hostile. It's like you're fighting for your life just to stay on a job site. You're afraid this guy might even hurt you. You know, that's how bad it gets. And for women, you can imagine that is multiplied by a lot. Men don't know how to teach women anyway in this industry. Like just because you've never had a woman in your class, you've never had a female apprentice, you have no idea what you're doing to begin with. And then add that panic of she's probably already smarter than me about this, about my craft, you know? She probably hasn't been cutting corners for 40 years and I have. You know? So.
Insecurities drive a lot of bad behavior.
That's right.
Big time.
Right. and now I'm going to get exposed. Like I don't know how to relay the information, or I don't know it, and I'm about to be
Punked out by a
exposed.
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exposed. Yeah.
And a lot of bosses. So my first boss was the biggest culprit for this. And I think this is why my eyes were so open to it so quickly, and a lot of other people's weren't. So my boss had never hired a woman, very clearly, you know, and it was a new company, and he had just poured, I mean, he took so much debt on to start this company just because he needed it to succeed. He told everybody it would succeed. He told everybody he was ready, and he wasn't. He was like a 3-year tech. I mean, he was not trained to where he needs to be to own a company in the technical side, let alone the company side.
Right.
So he took us on, and we were great technicians. So he got really confident. And when you have two people in the same van that are both really great technicians, but one is still learning, you're expected to be one of those teachers as well. You own this place. How do you want it done? Not necessarily what's the industry standard. And so I would ask him questions, and he would make things up. And at the time, I didn't want to believe that. I wasn't like, oh, I'm sure that, you know, that this zone valve actually melts wax in order to open, as if that makes any sense at all. But that's what he told me, because I asked him how a zone valve worked, you know, and I realized in my research on my own that people do this. They don't know what to say. So they just say something instead of saying, I don't know.
You know, I don't know. We should go look that up together.
Right.
Let's go figure
Do you
that
know
out.
someone we can ask, Jennifer? That's a great question. You know, it's that easy.
Right.
But to some people emotionally, it's not that easy. It's just a massive blow to their ego. So I had to leave, and we both left. We both ended up leaving, and it was the best decision we ever made. But in coming so quickly into the trade, and then so quickly into company after company, and then so quickly into my own company, I was left to the wolves, and that I didn't want that for any other, at the time, woman. So HVA Chicks Coalition was started for women primarily, until I realized we're only 2% of the trade. So who am I really helping? You know? I opened it up to everybody very shortly after, probably 3 months later. You know, it was like, this is stupid. But yeah, I didn't want any other woman to go through that. As I was living it, though, I realized it's not just women, and we very, very much are in the same boat here as apprentices. So that's where everything came from, that drive.
I think it's really smart to have opened it up anyway, because the reality is, you know, we guys have daughters too, right? And we're like,
And
oh,
not
I've
just
never
that, we're
said
creating division. Why should I be adding to the division we
right,
already
right.
have? And there are so many women's organizations, and I won't name them by name. They know who they are. They reached out to me to ask me to bring my technicians there, because they don't have technicians. They have dispatchers and office managers. And I said, they asked me to be frank and honest about what the problem is. Why aren't we getting these girls? And I said, because you're only for girls is one big thing. And B, you have people in there talking crap about technicians who you're trying to get.
Right.
They're not going to come if they think the office managers and the dispatchers are talking shit about them, you know? So then it became more of a women's only groups promote division. So if we can't even work together in a training group where everything is free, so everybody has like an already, you know, static personality as you're walking in, you're all there for the same reason. If we can't even work together, then how can we on a job site? How can we in a company? I mean, that's a crazy ask if you can't even sit on a computer across from each other.
Well, and you're modeling it. So I mean, you know, what you're saying makes a ton of sense, right? Why create division? But you're also now out and present and showing up and engaging and leading leaders. And so as a model, it's like, oh, maybe this isn't as scary. You know, I mean, look, you know, I think a lot of reasons that even we have a trades problem in general with staffing and new people coming in is because people are like, I don't want my kid, you know, having to go through that crap that I see everybody else going through. I don't want them to do what I had to go through or whatever, even if it's, you know, that self-sacrifice. And now to go, definitely wouldn't want my daughter to have to go through it, right? You know, that kind of old school thinking. And the reality is to see females winning and pursuing and leading in the industry is like, oh, maybe it isn't. Maybe this is an option. Maybe this is real. And I think it's a good thing, not only for, I mean, certainly for the women and girls who are growing up and going, hey, I can do that. They can achieve. Right. But also for the rest of us who are, you know, old guards sitting around, a bunch of middle-aged white guys, whatever you want to say, and look at the group and go, hey, you know what? This is good. This is a really good thing for the industry. And we can join in that. So, I mean, you know, honestly, you were one of the first people we thought, hey, we, you know, for one, we've done some stuff with you. And so we're like, hey, she's a great personality and we like what you're doing. And we want to further that too. and kind of join you in that endeavor of getting, not only more people in general, but more women involved in the industry. Because I think we can only grow and learn when we do that. So
For sure.
it's
Absolutely.
awesome.
I was just gonna ask. So, did you ever talk to like the CEO of SkillCat about like you're going through training, you graduate out, and so out of all the people going through, he's like, "Oh, we want that student who just graduated to stay with us." Like that.
There were two reasons.
What do you
Yes,
grant?
he talks about this openly all the time. You guys will see podcasts with Rashir Shah on it, and you'll hear this story. So I hate telling it though because it's just so braggartly. But so I was the first is a main one. I was the first to graduate with the whole program. I was the first to ever do that. So that was one main reason. The second was my scores were astronomical in this field. At the time, I don't think he realized that that's because I'm a teacher. I know how to study. I study for a living. That's what I do. But also, it takes a great interest. If any of you have seen the EPA test, which you have, it takes a great interest in order to overcome the severe boredom of that course. And I teach it every day. It's on the board right now. This is the core, and it's just like even the board just looks dull. It's awful. I can't stand this test. But yeah, that was what it was. And he reached out and he was like, "There's just something about you that like I'm not ready to let you go yet, and I'm just wondering if you want to work with us." And I'm like, "Doing what?" He's like, "I don't know, but I'm willing to pay you $500 a month to find out." Let's do it. Let's do it. So I started the TikTok, and I had never been on TikTok in my life. And it was just an idea he had. I mean, we fail fast at this company. Whatever doesn't work, we get rid of it. That's the end story. But the TikTok ended up not being one of them. And so I ended up growing that TikTok in 3 months from 1 follower to 5,000 followers, which, mind you, I still have not done on my own page in years. So that's saying something. We were getting millions of views. I mean, it was insane. People in the industry just fell in love, not just with skill, like they didn't know about SkillCat at the time. And I mean, when your choices are go to trade school and pay $5,000 to $14,000 for a crappy education. And yes, I'll say that out loud because it's true. We need to pay teachers better in the trades. But that's your option. And there's like maybe only one, like in Maine, there's only one school you can even do that at. So you're waiting. You could wait a year to get into the industry you want to get into. Well, by that time, you've had to work somewhere. You're not coming in. It's just the end of story. So when that's your choice, or you can pull out your phone and you can go on an app and you can get your EPA license in 3 months or a month, depending on how fast you work. And then you can go and get hired because they also help you with resume support. You can also get certifications for every single class on SkillCat, which is over 200. So like you have this portfolio. And I will never forget walking into my first job and I had printed every certificate I had gotten from SkillCat just because I knew it would look good. So I was like, they're not going to read all of these. They're not going to see that one of these is how to use a multimeter, right? But they're going to see this stack. And so I did. I put them all in, the flashiest pages, and I brought it in and I threw it on his desk. And he goes, "What's this?" I said, "That's my credentials." And he's looking at me like, men don't even have these many credentials. What are you talking about? And he's flipping through it. And luckily I put the really important ones on the top, my EPA, my trade school diploma. And so he got through the first 3 and I'm like, and he puts it down and he's like, "You're hired." So that's like a really big thing that a trade school can't even offer you. You don't even have that opportunity. So when those are your two choices and you live in 2025 post-epidemic, you're not going to go to trade school. It just doesn't make sense. You're still going into debt, especially with the economy the way it is. $5,000 is a lot of money right now to anyone. And I mean, to rich people, $5,000 could get you a lot of money, right? Could get you a lot of nothing right now. So if you're throwing that out to something that isn't going to give you a return for years, that's just like college. You might as well go to college. It makes no sense. So instead, we've virtualized it. And then this was what Rashir needed me for. So that was always there. That's always been a thing, right? Since the beginning of SkillCat, 6 years now. And what I brought was the ability to further that. So through SkillCat, I don't train individuals. I train individuals through HVA Chicks Coalition for free, but I don't charge people to train them as an individual tech. Through SkillCat, I train whole companies, and I'm talking fleets. I have one in New York that has like 27 apprentices right now that I train. When you are in a virtual world, you don't get, there's a gap. Right. So I've just now created another gap that we didn't need. And so where I can't offer a lab, I can offer virtual in-person training. And so that's what I do every single week with all of my companies. I sit for an hour, just like we're sitting right now, and I teach. And I teach in a way that all of those learning styles understand, because that may not be every out of 10 people in a classroom, 2 people are well suited for virtual learning when it comes to an app. And the rest are not, really not, especially in a trade. You're going into something where you're putting hands on. So if you're not putting hands on now, you ain't going to learn it, right? And so what we do is we put hands on. We use the simulations that are in HVAC Simulator or SkillCat, and we pair that with me standing here teaching. This way, they're able to ask those questions. If you're looking at an app, you can't ask a question. You're just, the answer's wrong, and that's it. And you don't know why.
Yeah.
So I'm able to address that. So, and then on top of that, we have our 24-hour tech support line, which comes with every single one of these companies. Companies pay for it. Individuals do not. It's free. They then call me. So I'm their instructor. But when they pick up that phone and they're in front of a unit, they're calling me, the person teaching them every week. So when they get me on the line, I'm able to walk them through. They just had an entire training session in 20 minutes with hands-on. So this pairing has closed every gap possible. It's amazing.
And like hyper.
I got a question. When they call you, does your AI assistant bully them like they bullies me?
You're going to hate this, Les, but I don't have an AI system for the tech support line.
Just for Les.
Just wanted to clarify that.
You can imagine that when people get my personal number, it's not always a fun thing.
Yeah.
Usually they got it because they searched for it, which means they doxed me and they want to come after me for progressive teaching. That's typically what happens. How dare you tell them to take their temperatures? It's wrong.
Yeah, right. And then I wanted to ask you, I just wanted to clarify, you're the first one to pass the full set, male or female.
Yes.
Yeah. First one. Back to our previous points.
That's awesome.
Points. Yeah.
Thanks.
That's very cool.
I want to say too, I appreciate like in all of your LinkedIn posts and stuff like that, like how you're covering the technical side so well. I hear a lot of times like the trade schools, they're teaching a lot of like how to be a salesman.
Yes.
I'm wondering, do you cover any of sales at all, or are you completely going on the technical side?
I do. So at first I didn't, because I don't believe in pushy sales, and I know how companies will spin it, and I know what will happen, and I don't want my name on that. And I decided that was completely wrong, because now all they have is Grant Cardone or Gene Slade, or they have a guru with a program that is cookie cutter for every company, and it maybe worked for one, and the rest, it drove customers out. And so that's their only option if I said no. So for the first few years, I was like, no, we're not teaching sales here. You're going to learn all you need to sell. And this will always be my motto. All you need to sell an HVAC unit is technical knowledge. Because if you walk up to a unit and you condemn it and you can't tell them why, or you make something up as to why, they're going to get a second opinion. And if that second opinion has any technical knowledge at all, you're in the bag. They're never calling you again for sale or a repair, for nothing. So you have to be very, very careful with these objection-based sales, because there are objections, and this is what I say. So you guys will watch the Wolf of Wall Street, and they'll tell you there's no objection you can't overcome. And that's not true. Not in 2025. That's not true in America. There are people who legitimately do not have the money. They can't even pay for a repair. And that is, we eat tonight or we don't. Or even worse than that, we don't even know how we're eating tonight. And that's 100% real. And that's your neighbors. That's people on your block. That's not people out in a third world country. That's America. So if we teach that there's no objection you can't overcome, we're teaching a lack of empathy. So what I teach is empathy-based sales. I teach humanism. How do you connect with a customer? Because if you don't connect with a customer, that customer will never buy anything from you. And it doesn't matter what you're selling. You could try to sell them, a stick of gum, and they'll say no. And the reason is they don't trust you. So if they don't have a reason to trust you, they're not going to give you their money, first of all. And second of all, they're probably going to talk to their neighbors about you, about how they didn't connect with you. They got a bad feeling. They this, they that. So instead,
which is way worse than the other side of that equation.
Oh gosh, the amount of money a company can lose from a poor salesman it's not measurable. It's just like getting callbacks on every call. That's what it would be like. So instead, we teach empathy-based sales. You walk into a home, and what are your soft skills? Because nothing matters after your first impression. Nothing. So what is your first impression? Where do you park your van? Where is the correct place to park your van? How do you approach a door? How many steps back do you take after you approach that door? And I mean, we nitty gritty this, and we do it for psychological purposes, because by the time the door opens, they already have an impression of you. You don't get to choose. You can only choose by from the moment you pull in, even before that. Is your dispatcher calling and saying you're on the way? If not, you lost a sale. Are you, if your dispatcher doesn't, if that's how your company operates, are you sending that text, that on my way text? If not, you lost a sale. And that's before you ever showed up. You had no chance. So turning yourself to people's empathy, to people's deep-seated need for human connection is the best way to sell, in my opinion, only because I've seen the data and it works. So if I walk into a house and they know I'm there to sell, they're not going to buy from me.
That's right.
Now, even if they called me for a quote, they're not going to buy from me if they think I care about that sale. What I care about,
people do business.
Oh, go ahead.
People do business with other people, right? They're looking for a connection. They're looking for somebody who's honest, who they can trust, who they can believe, and they're calling you because there's something broken. So then, if they don't trust, if you walk up and don't embody this moment of I can trust you, I'm about to let you in my house. How am I supposed to trust you that it's really a capacitor? Oh no, I have the whole unit's got to go, right?
Right.
Right. So I mean, you're so right. If people buy from other people, they buy from humans. They don't buy from AI bots. I mean, like all kinds of stuff that people are like, oh no, this is the answer to the sales problem. The sales problem is your technicians, the people you have on the front lines. Right. Yeah, they're you've told them you have to sell more stuff. And instead of telling them be real.
You incentivize sales. I do not incentivize sales at my company. In fact, I don't allow technicians to sell at my company. Only Val or I can sell at my company. If you have a lead, that's great. Give it to us. It's not your problem. It's never been your problem. If a customer asks you a price in that case, you can then say, I don't know anything about the pricing. I don't do the pricing. I don't even sell. And do you know how much trust that gains in my technicians? So then if my technician calls me up and they're on site and they say, this is an R22 unit, the fins are falling off, it's in bad shape, we got to change it out. Then I call and talk to my customer as the owner, and I say, this is what my technician is seeing. How much trust does that put in my technician? All of it. Right. He didn't even approach me with this because he didn't want to sell me something. That's incredible. But even further than that, most companies can't afford to do that. They're fleets. I have a tiny company, tiny. Yeah. So a fleet company can't do that. So what do? What they do is they put technicians in the home. And if you have technicians who know what they're doing in the home, you don't have a need for a sales force. You can fire them all. Don't have a need for it whatsoever. All you have to do is know that technician has done all that he can other than sell, and that the correct choice for the customer is to buy a new unit. And if that customer knows that that's your reputation, doesn't even matter what you say. Yeah, my neighbor down the road had the same thing happen. I figured mine was on its way out. That's what you'll get. Not, what do you mean? I need a whole new unit.
This unit's only 27 years old. I just bought it.
You'll still get that.
I was doing that the other day. I went out and looked at my own units. I'm like, man, these things are like new. And I started looking, like, man, why is there rust on them? Actually, they're 18 years old.
Yeah, but 18 years ago feels like yesterday.
It does.
18 years when you're a grown up feels like no time at all. Like I look at MTV and I'm like, what's happened to me? I'm so old.
Well, yeah, especially when you pay for the unit, you're like, I just bought those. Just all the money for it.
Wasn't that like last month? Yeah, no.
Yeah, I just went live with the fact that I'm running old HVAC equipment at my house, and it's time. So I know it's time.
No, mine's not even hooked up, so don't feel bad at all. It's always us. It's always HVAC guys. I put in a whole new unit with a new coil, new outdoor unit, whole 9 yards last year. And then I didn't hook up the ductwork because I have monitors. I'm in Maine, so I have gas monitors. I mean, they're going to be the better heat anyway. So I was just like, whatever. And then my office was so cold. And I was like, instead of beating myself up about not putting the ductwork on, instead I put a whole ass mini split in my office. Just looking at my ductwork. I mean, that's how we roll.
Get it done.
And that mini split will last 24 hours a day, I promise. It's not the right.
So you do train the trainer, you're doing skill cat, all these things. How much are you in the field at this point?
All the time. So my technical schedule for in the field is 6 days a week. Do I always get in the field 6 days a week? No. Last week we had, so I take care of a lot of the lobster distributors in Maine, which is a huge part of our economy, right? And then, so one of those distributors has, just in their tanks alone, they have $70,000 worth of lobster at any given moment. So we lost a chiller condenser, we lost a compressor. And so I'm down to 2 chillers on $70,000 worth of lobster, and my tanks are at 50 degrees. So I was in the field 7 days last week. I was holding head pressure up. I was dropping suction pressure. I was trying to keep my evaporators where they needed to be, and I still lost $70,000 worth of lobster. We lost a whole tank. So situations like that, I might never see my computer for the whole week. But otherwise, it's usually like I'm not out. I mean, I'll run a service call. There are 2 of us running service calls. So if the other, if my husband is on another call and we get one and it's an emergency, I'm going to go. But as far as like daily, scheduling in the field, there's none of that. I show up where I'm needed at any point throughout the day.
And on that lobster story, you're on the right podcast, Chill Under Pressure.
Yes, exactly. Really. Perfect.
So, I mean, you have kids. You're talking about that. How do you balance? I mean, you're talking about 6 days a week in this, and I'm doing Skill Cat, and I'm doing all these podcasts, and I'm a part of all these, the coalition, and like that's a lot to manage. How do you balance, and what does that look like?
I don't. I'm a type B mom. I'm a type B everything. So I have 6 kids. That is true. However, 4 of them are adults. So I have a grandbaby. I mean, so my son is no longer in the home. I have 3 adult children that are in the home, but that, they work, they take care of themselves. They're on their own lives. We're just not out here making them pay rent somewhere else. That's ridiculous in this economy. So they just stay here and they live their own lives. But then I have a 2-year-old and an 11-year-old as well. That are all me, of course. So I have a really good daycare, first of all, for my 2-year-old. My 11-year-old is self-sufficient at home. Plus, I work from home most of the time. So she's here with me or with one of her brothers and sisters. There's always someone here. So the kids kind of are like, they're the most important part, but they're the best maintained part of my chaos. And then on top of that, I work 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day. Really, it doesn't matter. I don't have set hours for any of the jobs I do. I won't take a job if it requires set hours because it's impossible. It gets to a point where it's just impossible. So my time in the field being as needed is because being a national training company, I'm able to have really good guys in the field. Most company owners don't have that ability. They don't have that option. So they're in the field constantly. I don't have that problem. And also when one of us needs to be in the field, there are 2 of us. We're not a one-man show. So Val's able to be in the field, which helps a lot. And then I'm not the only person on the tech support line. I have 4 days a week still, which sucks. If anybody wants to do tech support, you give me a call. We'll train you up. It's volunteer though. You don't get paid. So we have 4 of us on that line. So we have people, Jimmy takes 2 days. Val is swing shift. So he'll cover us at any point. Like right now, if I have a meeting, so he's covering me now. So we just kind of balance it that way, but we are all volunteers as well. So nobody gets paid for that line. And it's 24 hours a day. So that gets rugged sometimes. But then as far as like the coalition goes, I have a full staff, again, all volunteers. So I have a 5-man staff on the coalition that they handle. I do all of the teaching on Saturdays for the most part. I do have one other instructor that will take some weeks when I can't. But I do all of the Saturday training. I run the book club. My assistant and I do the mentor matching. So we have 80 mentors matched with mentees, and it's all one-on-one. Cool. So we have to make sure they match. Like we can't just run it. I could run it through AI and make a match, but we've got to make sure that, this guy, what he did in his career matches up with what his mentee is doing now or vice versa. Right. But we have some of the best mentors ever. Like I just want to mention that because it's freaking amazing. Like Bill Spohn from True Tech Tools, the owner, is one of our mentors. And we have Ty Brannaman, Love to HVAC. He's one of our mentors. Like we have the best mentors in the world in our coalition. That's
cool.
And they're all matched with a regular tech. So that regular tech is a really good tech. But yeah, I just balance it by working all the time. So but the other thing is a lot of it's virtual. So if I'm watching a movie with my baby, I can still be posting. Like I run HVAC company social medias. So that one is the most time consuming. So I'll just do that when I'm just sitting and when I don't have an active thing I have to do right now. So it's not balanced at all in any way. It's just fit it in. Whenever you can do it, fit it in.
Spinning plates.
Yes, spinning
Well,
plates.
it sounds like it's just an integral part of your life. Like all of this is
Yeah,
meshed together. So it's not like,
yeah,
oh, I'm leaving this alone. I mean, obviously
no.
there's times where you have to leave things alone,
Oh yeah,
leave
there's
your
choices.
2-year-old with daycare or whatever. But
Right.
it sounds like in general, it's like, no, this is just a part of my life, and I'll sit
It's
and
just
watch
who
a
we
movie with
are.
you while I do this. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
And my
it's
family
yeah.
is so, I mean, and that's what people are like, your life must just be chaos, but it's really not. Like we have time to do family things. We go on trips, we travel a lot. Like it's more just, we're not, people don't understand it because they don't live like us. And I wouldn't either
Yeah.
if I had a choice. It just happened so slowly, but quickly at the same time that it just kind of went boom and worked. And if it doesn't work, and that's the other thing, I have to be very serious about my choices. Because if something isn't going to work and is going to throw everything off kilter, I have to say no to it. And that's the hardest part for me. So right now I'm actually looking at relocating. I was offered a really killer job for a really giant national kind of chain, I would say. Not a chain, but they buy up HVAC companies and they help them get back off the ground where they need to be. And they are hiring me to run their national training center. And so I will have 25 techs every 6 weeks that come in. This will do away with 3 of my jobs just for taking one. So I am actually condensing. And then I took another job for a facilities maintenance company teaching their entire, 18,000 tech force HVAC. So I have, 2 6-figure jobs now that I can get rid of the little things and put my focus into those while still having that ability to work for SkillCat and to work for HVA Chicks and do the things that I want to do on top of it.
Right.
Which is helpful.
That's your investment. That's your investment back in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you're doing. Where should we send people to come follow you and keep tabs on you and to learn from you and to engage with you?
Absolutely. So that's the easy part. I am HVA Chicks Jennifer, no matter where you look. Whether it's AI, ChatGPT, or Google, they will give you all of my pages very, very happily.
Cool.
And my email is jennifer@skillcatapp.com. I mean, anybody wanting to come into the trade, anybody wanting more information, anybody wanting to learn about refrigerant tracking, because I have learned so much from you guys. Let me just say this real quick. So yeah, look, my tech support line is literally ringing right now. I didn't know about our requirements for refrigerant tracking until I met you guys. I had no idea. I mean, I knew what's in the EPA course because I teach it. It is not comprehensive as far as information as to what you're supposed to do. I really just want everybody to know that this is a focus of HVA Chicks Coalition right now. Is the main focus for us right now is getting everyone tracking, because we didn't know they weren't compliant. So we've got 570 technicians that are not compliant at that moment. So it's a mad dash to get everybody. Just, if you're going to come to me, download FM Hero first, because you're going to have it. And that's just, I just wanted to throw that out there. We are in a partnership. I partnered with these guys not because of any reason other than what they're doing is absolutely necessary. So do it. I wouldn't tell you to do it if not. So if you haven't downloaded that, and if you want to learn from us, you're going to need to download SkillCat. So just be ready for that. It's the only thing we charge for, and it's $9 a month with our discount. So everything else is free. So you will get, working with HVA Chicks Coalition, you'll get the full trade school on SkillCat, your EPA licensing, your NATES, whatever it is that you want. You'll get refrigerant tracking information on exactly what you're supposed to do through FM Hero. On top of that, we have a CRM that we use, Field Pulse, that you'll be able to go in and take care of your entire education right through that CRM. And then every weekend we have a tech hangout at 10 a.m. on Saturday mornings, which is a whole lot of fun. We all get together and we shoot the shit about how much we hate our jobs. It's amazing. And then we have the HVA Chicks radio show, which we have got to get you guys on. It's a great new show. It is.
We'd love it.
Instead of having 2 hosts like I had at my old show, we now have every member hosting. So every week it could be a different host. A member of staff is always with them to make sure it goes smooth. But it's they get to do episodes. I mean, we had a call-in episode that was funny service calls. Like it's so much fun. So we have that 9 p.m. on YouTube on Saturdays.
Okay, that's 9 p.m. Eastern time?
Yep, Eastern time.
Right.
It's the same time slot as my old show. And then we have Saturday afternoons. We have free training, 2 p.m. Eastern time in the Coalition on our YouTube page, HVA Chicks Co-Official. And then we have book club every Sunday. So we have a whole bunch of community just waiting for you. It's a whole lot of fun.
That's cool.
And it gives you that outlet Like there is no gap. If you are a member of HVA Chicks Coalition, you don't have gaps in your learning and you don't have gaps in your training. So come on over.
Or community.
Yes.
Whether you're going to get the help.
Yep.
Right. Like you can go and
all of you guys work with us so that you only have to go to one place, because all the bigger companies are with us already anyway.
Yeah. That's cool. And like you said, $9 a month is that's totally, I mean, I know people, that's the cheapest thing ever. It's ridiculous.
It's almost astronomically cheap. And we had to fight our CEO to charge that, and that's only because we were going under.
Well, good job.
Yeah.
Keeping it affordable and yet not going under, because that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
We need great teaching.
Yep.
Awesome.
Very good. Anything else, guys?
That's it for me.
Nope. That's it for you. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Chill Under Pressure, Jennifer.
Thank you guys for having me, and thank you for what you're doing.
Again. Yeah, you bet. So I'm Les.
Rodney.
And I'm Adam. Thanks for joining us on Chill Under Pressure. We'll see you next time.